Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the final episode of Euphoria Season 3. Let's get into it. Before all that, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. It really helps the channel. I want to blow up, I want to get bigger, I want more people to watch, and if you could help me with that, that'd be amazing. If not, enjoy the show and let's get on with it. So I want to start off by talking about Rue and her whole journey because it's been an up and down, don't get me wrong, this whole season has been a bit, who is this character now? Is Rue the same character she was the last couple of seasons? But it feels like, for me anyway, that they kind of nailed it. It got a reaction out of me. I love Rue's character. Always have, always will. I relate to her in so many ways for reasons I won't get into. You do that as you will, but I relate to Rue on a very deep level. Something I've not really talked about on the channel. I don't think I will for a very long time, but I see a lot of myself in Rue. And so to see her journey through the season kind of go up and down, and I'm like, who is this character? Is she the same? And then there's times where I'm like, yep, that's Rue. And then obviously she goes through her whole drug thing, and then sometimes in this episode, in this series, she's like, fine. But this episode, okay, anyway, I relate to the character is what I'm trying to say. So we start off with how we ended last week's episode, where Rue is in the basement with Faye, and Faye screams like an absolute bellend. I cannot stand this character, and it's kind of a shame what they did with her, but you know what? If she wants to go and be with these horrible white supremacist people, go for it. So she essentially screams, the guy wakes up, and Rue picks up, I think, some metal thing, I can't remember what it was, and smashes his leg, which I absolutely loved. I thought she was going to kill him, but I'm glad she didn't. And then she punches Faye in the face. She essentially escapes, which is brilliant. But before that, there's a lot of times the guy has a gun, and there's times where he could have kind of shot or he could have caught up with her. Like, he's going really slow. I understand his legs hurt, but you know the suspense is definitely there. And I really, I was scared for Rue. I'm always pretty scared for Rue because she's a baby. And essentially Rue gets out. She climbs up these ladders, and as she's running, the guy comes on a horse, or a different guy, another white crazy person, and he's got the lasso, and it's kind of horrific imagery to see, this white supremacist man, or whatever you call him, on a horse with a lasso chasing a mixed race girl. It's a horrific imagery. I don't know if we needed it, but I was scared for Rue regardless. And then she gets caught, and he's being dragged, and it's horrible. To think what her back looked like. I think they should have showed it. Did they? I can't remember. Let me know if they did. I don't think they did. But if they'd shown it, that would have been horrific. But she's being dragged across the floor, and the guy with a sniper, I think his name's G. He was in a film that is called, it's like Fight Club, but a comedy with these young girls. I'll put the image here because I can't remember what it was called. But anyway, he essentially saves Rue. Rue gets herself up and goes. That's the title. Episode comes up, Euphoria. It's the last time we're really going to see it. Well, for me anyway, because I'm not watching another season of this. But yeah, okay, cool. Like, Rue made it. Amazing. Absolutely loved it. And she's back with Alamo. And Alamo is like, girl, you're in pain. Like, here you go. I'm going to have one. There's yours. And it's the stuff that she got addicted on when her dad was ill. Like, it's the medication that she would take. I can't remember what it was called, but it doesn't matter. She took a pill. And she says, I used to love these. And Alamo says, it's not for the feeling, it's for, it's for your physical pain. And I do believe that Rue took it for the physical pain. I really do. Let me know what you guys think about that. And I'll go into it more when, in the next couple of scenes, but I genuinely do believe that she took it because of the pain and not for anything else. So he also gives her some money and says, yeah, the week off, but then he gives her the rest of the medication. We'll call it medication, which is technically what it is, I guess. And she goes home, goes to Ali's house, Ali, I can never say it, and, is talking to him, and it's all well and good. She's like, can I stay on your couch? And he's like, it's all yours, and it's so sweet. Ooh, this episode broke me, guys. So she wakes up the next morning, or Ali wakes up the next morning and sees Rue, and Rue's like watching the telly, and the news is on, and Fez is breaking out of prison, and this is what really pissed me off. I was like, what are we doing? Like, let's leave Fez. Like, okay, he's in prison, let's leave it there. I was just like, what are we doing? I was really annoyed. I was ready to hate this episode. And a lot of you might hate it, a lot of you might liked it, but at this point I'm fuming. So Rue essentially is telling Ali, whatever, that it's Fez. Like, I need to go and I've made him a promise that if he ever gets out, I'm gonna go and pick him up, I'm gonna find him. And Ollie's like, what are you on about? Like, no, you cannot do that. She's like, no, I made a promise, I'm going to do it, which is quite sweet of Rue. Like, I believe she would do that anyway. But I was also like, girl, you're an idiot after everything that's just happened. Like, you've just been dragged across the floor. Like, let's not do this. And she goes and does it. And there's this whole, like, not chase, but, like, it's intense. Rue kind of being a bit frantic, which is we've seen her do many, many times. Oh, also the pills you see the substances on the table and out on Ollie's table, and it looks like it hadn't been touched, which is like, okay, she didn't take one in the middle of the night, and she did just listen to her Bible because she was doing that. And I was like, amazing, cool. She goes off to go and find Fez, and she's like around her neighborhood. She realizes that she can't get into that area because the police are there. She gets in anyway. She's like, my house is over there. She gets in and she goes into her house, which I was like, oh my god, this is intense. Okay, you've got me back in, show, let's go. And she's looking around, and it's very beautiful, but it's also it is kind of dreamlike already at this point. And it wasn't until I just see her mom just sitting there that I'm like, this isn't right. What we're seeing here isn't what we're seeing here. It's giving dream, and essentially it is a dream. It's Rue. Oh, it really gets me. Rue sees her mom, and her mom takes her hand, and it's very, I don't know, biblical in a sense. Her hand's there for her to welcome her, and Rue takes it, and then we see this amazing shot, and it's horrific though at the same time, but it is where Rue is on the sofa, grasping for air essentially, but also smiling, and she's high, and she's just grasping at the air, and it really, really breaks me because this happens, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, obviously not her seeing she sees her mum and she sees her dad, and that's not something, in her head she could see it, who knows, which clearly she did, and then she embraces her dad, and that's when I knew she's dead. She's absolutely dead. And it's just so sad. It really is. Like, I just can't not be sad about it. But anyway, we see what really happens, and Ali, whatever his name is, wakes up, and it's the same shot that we see. He gets out of bed, he lights a cigarette, and he goes into the living room to see Rue, and unfortunately Rue's passed. And I'm thinking, huh? Like, okay, yes, she's dead, okay. But how? Like, did she overdose? Like, I hope she didn't. I hope she didn't just take the pills because, like, her addiction. And I don't know. Let me know. I like the idea maybe that we find out that the medication was tampered with fentanyl, I think, and Ollie fucking does a test on it, and it comes positive, so it had been, and I think that was Rue had been poisoned and murdered essentially, and I think she did just take another tablet in the night to help with the pain. I hope that was. I don't think we'll ever know. Like, she could have just took it because she wanted a bit of both, or maybe she did just want to feel euphoric. Ooh, name of the show. Anyway, but I like to believe that she took it just for her pain and nothing else. I want to believe that because I don't want to think of Rue. I like to think that she just took it for that reason and not because of her addiction. But addiction is a very strong disease, illness, whatever you want to call it. And, it also wouldn't surprise me if Rue did just pick one up just to be like, yeah, I want to get high, which is also very, very tragic. So let me know what you guys think, whether, like, I think she was poisoned, but do you think she took the medication to get better or to feel euphoric? So with that said, Rue is dead, and Ali we see this beautiful, I don't know. I mean, I like that. I don't like. Okay, right. Let me get myself together. He writes for his name down in this book, which is horrible, which kind of, I'm not, don't know why I didn't see that coming, because he was writing all these names in the book for so long of all the people who have passed due to addiction, substance abuse. And Rue's just another name in that book of more dead children, essentially. I mean, she's old enough, but she's a baby. She is a baby. Ollie, essentially, he's talking to other people in the like therapy groups kind of thing, and or whatever you want to call it. And he essentially says to all these people, like, I can have empathy for the addict who's struggling with addiction, but I can also have empathy for the people who are selling these substances to kids. But then he's like, well, no, like you poisoning children. I've got no empathy for you just because you need to raise your child and get money, whatever. He's done with empathy. He's ready for revenge in a sense, and to put this to an end, because who else is going to do it? God. Like, I think he's done with religion. I believe he says he's to some extent. I don't know if I hope he is. I'm not a religious person, but I understand his point. I mean, no, he's not. He ends up still being religious by the end of it, which is fine, but I wouldn't be. But that's me. But yeah, like I feel his pain in that moment. He's like done with empathy. He's done writing names in books. I want to help. If I'm going to help, I'm going to do it my way now. He's like, I've done it God's way. I've done it the ethical way. That's not working. I need to put a stop to this because no one else will. Which I think was very, very brave of him. Bearing in mind though, like we'd only seen him 3 episodes, once in the beginning and then last week and this week. So I feel like we should have saw more of him, but his performance was fantastic. I like that he's going down this route, which is very wild compared to what the last 2 seasons have been. It's just, high school drama in a sense with these very serious issues on top of that. But yeah, so we'll quit it there for a moment because now we need to talk about Cassie and what's her name? Maddie. Love Maddie. How did I forget? But essentially those two are living in Nate's big mansion thing or whatever, and they're turning it into a OF kind of house, and the money that they make, they'll pay the girls, they'll pay themselves, and they'll give a big chunk of it to Alamo. And Maddie and Cassie, Cassie's about to say goodbye to Maddie, and she says, like, if you just pretend, it might make it easy for you. And I'm like, whatever, Cassie, shut up. You're the big reason why we're here as well. But that was, it also noted, like, it was as if Cassie was the then stay-at-home mom, or stay-at-home wife even, like where Nate was, I guess, early in the season. So that was very interesting to see that. And Maddie goes off, Cassie goes back upstairs, and her sister's up there, Lexi. And this bit did really get me a lot, because Lexi essentially is telling her sister that, like how things that were left with Rue. And the last time I saw her, I was horrible to her. And she was, because she did say, like, no wonder your mom don't talk to her, which I forgot to mention in my last review, but that was no, Lexi, that is messed up. But she said it, she can't take it back, and that's the last thing she said to essentially her best friend, or a childhood best friend, whatever, regardless, her friend. And yeah, it's just, she's telling her sister this, and that when Rue left the Bible, she left her Bible and it was just there on the table, and she's like, I didn't know what to do with it, I didn't know to keep it or to throw it or what, so I just left it there. And then I said, she plucked up the courage to move it to the shelf, and eventually she reads it and figures that the themes that she took from the Bible, which kind of makes sense because she's a script writer, that she's looking for themes of that it's all just suffering and we get on with it the best we can and we keep going, which is still a horrible way to look at it, but in a sense maybe that is, for these characters, that is what they have to do. They just have to keep going. But what annoyed me was Cassie goes, oh well, she was an addict, like this is what happens. And I was thinking, hang on a minute, she might not have been at this, but she was always going to be an addict, but like she might have just took that pill, Rue, to just make herself feel better in that moment because of the pain. So she essentially got poisoned. And I know Cassie doesn't know that, but to just be like, well, she was an addict, like she was more than an addict, she was a person. And I don't know, it just annoyed me a little bit. And she's saying all this while she's cleaning a sex toy, like she's there just going bloop, 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 cleaning it, giving it a good wipe before she sets up for the night. At least she's clean, I guess. But yeah, it was very interesting. It was interesting to see Lexi's go through this, which is also kind of annoying because Lexi hasn't really been much of a character. She was amazing last season, but this season she's just a plot device essentially, to move the plot forward. But to see her have remorse and end that way, well, it was amazing. I did like it that she felt what she felt, and I felt it because I'm like, imagine that saying that the last thing you say to your friend was like, no wonder your mum wants to see you, like, you know, and are you high still? And like she wasn't, and she didn't know that, and she anyway, makes me sad, but you know, Lexi, I forgive you, I guess, to some extent, and I'm sure Rue would as well. But yeah, that was a lot. And then the last thing we see of Cassie is the camera pulls out of the house, and she essentially just looks like a doll in the window, and for us to just gaze at in a sense. And I don't really know what Sam Levinson's trying to say because Cassie just ends up miserable, in a way, and this is her life now, just OF stuff and owing money. I don't know if she's happy. I feel like maybe that's the point. She's not supposed to be happy, but it's very sad. And I don't like that we just see her as a doll in the window, like just for men to view. And, you know, and that's all she has been in a sense. But I don't know. Let me know if there's more a deeper theming with Cassie. I'd like, if you know, let me know because I'm a bit. Is there? I'm not seeing it. I feel like she's just made so men can just look at her because she doesn't come out the other end any better. She ends up kind of just the same as she has been for the past few episodes. This time, just owed money to Alamo. Yeah, that's Cassie. But let's get on to Maddie. So Maddie is in the car with, what's that weird guy called? I can't remember. You remember? Bishop. So they're in the car and they've got like a cool vibe going on. Like, I don't see it as like romantic or anything like that, but like the people I work with were talking to me about it today and were like, oh yeah, like I shipped them. And I'm like, no, that's not what it was. I think he just like had a bit of a soft spot for Maddie maybe, but everyone thinks he was like an undercover Fed and all this, and I don't think that they would have shown that. Like, I don't believe that at all. Very weird, very strange. But Maddie just essentially says like, why can't the world just give someone some grace? And like, it's so true. Like in this world, not even just in this world, it's in our world as well. Like, there's no grace to be given. So I think essentially you got to give it to yourself in a lot of ways. And I think Rue was giving it to herself a bit more going forward. Maddie ends up at the bar, Alamo's bar. We'll call it a bar because I don't want to get demonetized. And so she goes in, and Alamo is like, come on then, like, I want to talk to you. Come with me to the back room where, of course, he's gonna, you know, do some messed up, whatever. I'm glad he didn't, but anyway, as he's going, Bishop takes his coat off, which I was like, very weird, but okay, and changes into a different. Well, he goes from one jacket to another jacket, and he's basically, and then he goes into the room alone, and he tells Maddie that I essentially want the American dream. I want a missus. I want to put babies in you. And all this, and it's just like, you want this after everything you've done to all these people and all these women. You want to have the normal life now, like, or however that looks to you. Have kids? I don't know. Very weird. F that man. He also killed Rue, so screw him. But then we get our Ali, whatever you want to call him, which is kind of a running joke now at this point. He essentially comes in, locks the doors, and has his gun, and the guy named G, I think his name's G, comes up and he's like, I heard you're looking for the owner, I'm the owner. And then Harley puts the gun to his nuts and says, if you lie to me, I will shoot you off, you dick off, essentially. And the guy does lie to him, and then that's what happened, which I was like, you know what, fair enough, like, cool, like, bye. Anyway, skipping forward, Alamo comes into the scene after he makes a dramatic entrance. There's a bit where he uses Maddie as a human shield, and he throws her over the ledge thing. I don't know what to call it, but the way she like falls over, like whoop, like it was so funny. And I mean, you're not supposed to laugh at it, but if you go back and watch her like fall, it's actually really funny. And I'm like, it's sad to see Maddie like that because I love Maddie. Let's not make her into a joke. Like, she's already going through a lot as it is. But that made me laugh. Oh, sorry, my nose is itchy. Anyway, Alamo essentially says to Ali, whatever his name is, that why are you here for? Who do you work for? And he says the coldest line ever, and he literally says, I work for Rue, or Rue essentially. And I was like, yes, here we go. And they try and do the Mexican standoff, which is like, it's cool, and I get why they're doing it. It feels like a movie, but Euphoria it never felt like a movie before. It was just a show about these kids, and now it feels like a western, and it works, but it doesn't feel like Euphoria in a way. It feels like a completely different show now, but with the same characters that we know and love. Well, no, should I say? I love like two of them, but they're doing the standoff, and essentially Alamo cheats and pulls his gun and goes to shoot, and he presses like 3 times, nothing happens, and he looks to Bishop, and he's like, "Oh, I'll see you in hell." And then that's when our dude Ali, whatever his name is, shoots Alamo, and it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying to see this man. Like, ugh, I hate him. I hate Alamo so much. Like, what a pig. What an absolute pig. Oh, just because you got mommy issues, freaks. If you got mommy or daddy issues, get them sorted, because you cannot go around hurting people like this. So you heard it from me. Okay, go get it sorted. Ali, whatever his name is, goes into Alamo and shoots him. I believe in the head, and the blood splatters and all this, and he's like, just gotta make sure like you ain't getting up from this. I don't want to see you again. And yeah, like he does it, and justice for Rue, And I feel like that was him, Ali, whatever his name is. It was his way of helping people, because now this man is off the streets. Granted, it's not going to help everywhere, but maybe it will for a little bit longer, that he's not, you're not poisoning people. Hopefully that makes a difference in the world, more so than what has been happening. He's been helping these young people, and they've been dying left, right and centre, and maybe this is something that's helped hopefully one person, if not more. But yes, it's a bit Hollywood movie tropey, but I'm cool with it personally. I don't really want to talk about the sexualization of women and stuff in that scene. Well, I do. It's disgusting. I'm sick of seeing women's bodies. Like, women's bodies are beautiful, but to see them like this is just distasteful, and it makes me sick. It really does. But I don't really want to talk about that, as I want to talk about what's happening with these characters. And so, also, I completely forgot. We also have Laurie. Why can't I say names, guys? Laurie. Anyway, she essentially has the police come to her house and all this bollocks, which you've all seen, but I just want to get to the point where she gets to the roof, and she's like, I'm not going back to jail. I think she said, I'm not going back to jail, or I'm not going to jail. And she gets the noose, and she essentially, herself. I don't know what I can say on here, guys, and then she cacks herself, because that's what happens when people do that. But I'm thinking, guys, 7-11, you really must hate women, because all the men lived, but Laurie died. And it can make sense, because what's funny is she has these birds, these beautiful creatures that need to be out in the wild, flying around. That's what they need to be doing. They don't need to be caged. And to see that she has all these birds caged, and she had Rue caged, in a sense, but then when it happens to her, she's like, nah, I'm out. Like, what a coward. But also, I don't know, all these men get to survive and live, you know what I mean? Even Faye and her man got to live happily ever after, and I'm just like, are you taking the piss? Are you actually taking the piss? I can't. Anyway, it was annoying. But she's dead, cool, whatever. Then I want to talk about Jules. What are we doing with Jules? Like, wow. I was mortified with what they did. Like, this is like Rue's all-time love, crush, whatever, right? And she's horrible. She's nothing but horrible to Rue the entire time. She was selfish, and then she draws this ugly-ass painting, and I'm surprised it didn't have a dick. I'm surprised I'm surprised she didn't give Rue a dick. Like, she's giving everything else a dick when she draws. Like, it's so annoying. I don't blame the actor. I don't even blame... I mean, I can blame the character because she's written that way. But it's obviously Sam Levinson's fault, and they don't want anything to do with Jules anymore. And Jules was this groundbreaking character, because Jules was, or is, when she started, a trans character that has just been, was very important, because we didn't see a lot of young trans people on TV. And what she went through as a child, her mum took her to like a mental institution, essentially, to make her better. When she was never ill. She's just a trans child. Like, let her be. And then now to see her just become like this is horrible, living in a penthouse, being someone's sugar baby, to make it seem like she's happy, and drawing this ugly ass painting to be like, yeah, that's Rue. And that was it. Like, why does Sam Levinson going to be like okay with that? Like, it's disgusting what you did to Jules. So So much swearing. I need to chill. But yeah. I was whatever. You know what I mean. Anyway, Ollie goes to the farm where Rue was in the beginning of the season, and I did believe Rue was gonna go there at some point and live happily ever after, but no, she dies. She sees these people, and he sees these people, and he wants to, like, I don't know if he wants to stay there or what, or just be there because Rue said it was the happiest place on earth for her, or peaceful. And he's saying grace, and he sees Rue, and I was like, ugh, do we have to see Rue now? Like, let's not. Like, years and day was amazing still in everything she does, but I was like, really? I don't need a vision or a ghostly, like, in his head thing. I don't need that. I get it. It's very movie-like, but Euphoria was never really that. I don't know, to me anyway. But he says grace, and he says thank you to Rue. And Rue, smiling, looking beautiful, but also very sad and tragic at the same time. And then what peed me off the most after this, like, this is the one that I was like, nah, annoying, was the last shot we see is the American dream, essentially, maybe, of this farmhouse. The sun's going down, and we can see the bloody American flag, which, no shade to America, but, why? Like, the American, if this is like, how are you then going to tell me all about religion and God and Jesus and all this, and then have you say this is the American dream, and then in another shot show me boobs, ass, highly sexualizing women, just for male audiences to just gawk at, and then try and talk to me about religion and the American dream and all this. Like, it just, you're not balancing it. You're not saying enough about one thing or enough about the other. Do you know what I mean? It's very just like, there it is and there's that. And it's like, the American dream's this, guys believe this, even though we've got boobs and vagina and all this. Like, anyway, it really annoyed me because that's how you're going to end it. But that was the episode, guys. That is my review. I think it's not amazing, but I was entertained. I really was. I think they could have handled Rue better. But I felt every part of her death. I really did, for personal reasons. But addiction is no laughing matter. I think to some extent it was handled very, very well and tastefully. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think Rue was just poisoned, or that she took more drugs than she needed to at the same time? I think, well, she was poisoned because it was in there, so... But I like to think that she was just taking the tablets to get better. Let me know what you guys think. And with that said, that is the episode, guys. Thank you all for watching. It really, really means a lot. This show has meant a lot for me. The first 2 seasons anyway. This one's been a bit of a rocky one, but thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe as always, and follow or whatever. I'm tired. Goodbye.